Welcome back. She gave up her baby for adoption when she was 18 years old, and 37 years later found her. Joining me now is Judy Foster. She's also involved with the New Jersey Coalition for Adoption Reform and Education. Also here, Brenda Murley. She is an adoption counselor with Spence Chapin Adoption Agency. Thank you both so much for being here and also continuing to be here with us as well. Thank you for staying with us. Okay, let's first of all talk about the child you gave up for adoption when you were 18, and you actually found her 37 years later. What was it like at that time? I mean, you were 18. Do you remember much about that decision?
I do remember the decision. It was probably the toughest decision I ever made in my life. I was young, and I had never dated in high school. He was my first boyfriend, and it was like the third date. I couldn't become a wife and a mother at 17. It was just too frightening for me. And I chose to surrender my daughter to adoption so that she could have two parents that could raise her and love her. I was afraid, quite honestly, that I would be divorced. And to be divorced in the Catholic Church was far greater sin than surrendering my daughter to adoption.
So a lot of religious and cultural reasons and a lot of pressure, obviously, from family. So at what point did you decide to find her?
Well, I always, first of all, I didn't marry until I was in my late 30s, and I kept my name thinking that maybe she might come looking for me. And I really believe that there were things that happened to me that was a sign that I should search for her.
I've seen a movie about it.
Possibly. I married, as I say, in my late 30s. I didn't tell my husband until 10 years into our relationship, and he wanted to go find her right away. And I just didn't feel I had the right. But I eventually kept getting these signs that it was time, and when I found her, I found that her mom was deceased for 3 years, and Donna says that we filled a big hole in her life.
So what was it like to be reunited with her? Did you have other children?
I never had any other children. My husband had 4 adult children when we married, and it was, I mean, I was a career woman. This was the most awesome experience I ever had in my whole life, being able to reach out and hold my daughter in my arms and hug her, and I have 2 beautiful granddaughters. And it was just an absolutely warm and wonderful experience.
So is every reunion like that you hear about being with an adoption agency?
I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, this is about exactly what we hear. Everybody's different. So most birth mothers we know from our research are very, very interested in reunion and look forward to that day. And there are some birth mothers, based on some circumstances, that might choose to not have contact and right now don't have an opportunity to make that known.
So how does the agency and the adoption process work? And is it different now than, say, it was, say, 18 years ago?
In terms of a birth and adoptive families meeting, our agency, we've placed over 18,000 children. We've been around about 100 years, and we have seen more and more move to openness. It's interesting, the practice, the law as it stands today has not kept up with the practice of adoption. So when they meet, birth and adoptive families, most often they now immediately exchange their information. We still cannot do that for them because of the closed record law, but they can exchange information. And we have more and more research, more and more knowledge about how this serves the best interests of the child to grow up knowing both their biological as well as their adoptive family sides. The other thing we know through research is that if the adults aren't confused about this, the children aren't confused about it. So it's much more it's much more what you see. It's much more the model for adoption today.
Do you think that really helps with the emotional impact that it has on children growing up?
Definitely, because you're kept in the dark. It's a secret out there, and secrets only lead to trouble. And a lot of adoptees grow up with lack of self-esteem issues because they're denied this right. They're told, you can't know, and it's like you're telling them that they can't know their own history, and that's what it is. It's my history, my beginnings, my origins. And a lot of adoptees have problems later in life with their self-identity because they don't know their self-identity. They don't know their true nationalities. They don't know their true beginnings.
The Adoptee Birthright Bill, can you talk to us about that?
Yes, this bill has been around in one form or another for the past 30 years. It basically gives an adult adopted person the right to access a copy of their original birth certificate and hopefully obtain updated medical information. We believe it gives the birth parent a voice in that it has a contact preference option in which the birth parent can indicate that she wants contact either directly or through an intermediary which she may name, or no contact.
How devastating is it for a child to see no contact on a birth record?
Well, remember, we're dealing with adults here now. Adult adoptees basically are ready for their truth. I mean, if they're going to embark upon this search, I facilitate a support group in Morristown of adoptive parents and birth parents and adoptees, and I've done that for the past 10 years. So what I've learned is if they embark on this search, they are preparing themselves for whatever they may find. We've had adoptees who have come to our group who found a grave at the end of their search. So you never know what you're going to find. But getting back to the bill, I'd also like to indicate that there's a preference for the 0 to 5% who may not want to be found, for them to fill out what they call a non-disclosure form, where they would have their name whited off the copy of the birth certificate that would be provided to the adult adopted person. And it also gives provision for adoptive parents of minor children to be able to get the records, because you don't want to wait until your child has some medical emergency to start to try to get information, that might help the physicians. So if the adoptive parent feels they need to have this information, they can petition to get it as well.
For adoptive parents who've never disclosed, say, who both parents are, is that an issue, too, that you can help with?
If the adoptive parents have that information?
Yes, you've dealt with cases for years and years.
Right. And this is your question is it when the adoptive parents have the information and don't share it?
Right.
Well, again, that is what closed records are about. Theoretically, the adoptive family has no information about the birth mother. They have no access either to that original birth certificate. They only have a revised birth certificate with their names now inputted as the parents. So they, most of the time, do not have that information to give their children.
Divorces happen, names change. How difficult is the process now? And where is the bill in the Assembly?
Well, the bill was passed in 91 and 94, and it passed in the Senate in 2004, 2006, and 2008 by a vote of 31 to 7. We have overwhelming support for it in the Assembly. It is in the Human Resources Committee. And we hope that we'll have a meeting with Speaker Roberts so that he will see the merits of this bill and post it for a vote.
Okay, thank you very much. Up next, the Adoptee Birthright Bill has been met by some major opposition and believe the birth parents have a right to keep adoption records sealed. We'll get their side of the issue next on Real Talk.